The 2nd Raiding Brigade of the Imperial Japanese Army was an elite Japanese airborne unit. In the years preceding the Second World War, the Imperial Japanese Army invested in the deployment of the Paratrooper Division. The Japanese Paratrooper Force was trained to conduct paradrops behind enemy lines and onto small islands. The unit was divided into 2 regiments, the 1st and 2nd Regiment, each numbering around 700 men. Counting ground support, logistics, and pilots, the brigade had around 2,400 men. In February of 1942, the brigade was dropped over and captured the Dutch oil refinery in Palembang using captured Lockheed Hudson aircraft with Royal Air Force markings for deception. A small drop was conducted over Timor later that year, but the 2nd Brigade saw no further action until late 1944. During the Philippines campaign, the 2nd Raiding Brigade was deployed to Luzon in the Japanese-occupied Philippines to reinforce the island's garrison. American forces had landed on nearby Leyte in late October. The brigade was ordered to Luzon on the 25th of October, and the units arrived the island on the 30th of November. On Luzon, the brigade was ordered to conduct operations against small airstrips on Leyte under American control. These airstrips were being used to project American air superiority over Leyte and as a staging ground for American attacks on convoys carrying Japanese reinforcements. The Japanese commanders hoped that by launching a very risky paratrooper attack on the airstrips, sufficient numbers of American planes could be destroyed on the ground to halt the American advance and to allow for reinforcements to be safely sent to Leyte Island. The Japanese planned the paratrooper attacks for the night of the 6th of December 1944, with follow-up attacks planned for the following nights. The drops would be made from Mitsubishi Ki-57s. Some of the aircraft would conduct traditional drops, while others would be loaded with troops and perform intentional crash landings on targeted airstrips. 4 airstrips were targeted with between 350 and 400 men from the Japanese paratrooper regiments being allocated for the assault. The jumps were termed Operation Te and would be carried out in conjunction with a ground assault, Operation Ve. In the attack that followed, the brigade suffered heavy casualties. Most transports made it to their designated drop zones, but 18 out of certified aircraft were shot down or crashed, and the heavy anti-aircraft fire encountered led to confused pilots dropping their troopers over wrong targets. The attacking paratroopers did some damage, but many were cut down by American anti-aircraft fire. According to an American officer, descending Japanese paratroopers were cut to shreds by the anti-aircraft and field artillery units. In addition, 2 of the airstrips targeted were not in use at the time of the attack, and as such lagged the US aircraft that were the mission target. The second attack the following night was aborted due to bad weather, and the expected ground attack fizzled the day before the jump. The paratroopers held one airstrip which had accidentally been targeted by several transports overnight, but were gradually forced back by American units in the area. Some paratroopers joined Japanese holdouts in the area and by the 12th of December had been destroyed, while others successfully returned to Japanese lines. With a few American supply dumps and aircraft on the ground destroyed and construction projects delayed, the enemy attacks on the airfields failed to have any effect on the overall Leyte campaign. While Operation Te was underway, a second series of attacks were launched against American targets around Ormoc. These attacks took place from the 8th to the 14th of December and dropped around 500 paratroopers, where they met with some success against American units in the area. By January of 1945, around 400 troopers remained on Leyte, but by mid-March less than 200 remained. 75 fit men were evacuated to Cebu on the 17th of March, and none of the 100 men left on Leyte Island survived the war. After this defeat, the brigade was scattered around numerous islands. Around 500 men remained on Luzon, fighting with the island's garrison until the end of the war, with 80 men surviving. Around 60 paratroopers deployed to the island of Negros, where they fought against the American invasion of the island, notably against American paratroopers of the 503rd Infantry Regiment. Around half of these men survived the war. A small force of the paratroopers evacuated from Luzon linked up with the headquarters staff of the 25th Army, eventually setting up positions on Cebu. When American forces landed on the island, the remnants of the brigade retreated into the jungle and only 17 survived the war. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.